So, if you want to become conversational in Japanese in just 1 month, it's absolutely possible. I've been there, watching videos, listening to everyone say it takes so long, and it's disheartening and frustrating, but ultimately, it's really not true. You can become conversational in a month, and it's really easy to do as well, and when I explain it to you, you'll be like, oh, of course, why didn't I just do that from the beginning? The goal here isn't to become fluent overnight or to know every single word. Even most native speakers don't even know every single word. Instead, it's to give you the ability to communicate confidently about your daily life, ask simple questions, and understand clear Japanese when it's spoken to you. By the end of this plan, you'll be able to hold real conversations without relying on English as a crutch. Just make sure you follow all of the steps because they do work together and they support one another as well. Now let's start off with something a little bit reassuring. While people often mention that you need to know around 1500 of the most common Japanese words to handle everyday conversations, the reality is far simpler. Research shows that the top 100 Japanese words make up around 50% of spoken dialogue, and the top 1000 account for roughly 80%. But here's the kicker. To start speaking, you actually don't need to know all of them. Realistically, you can ignore about 30 to 40% of those 1500 words and still function just fine. If you focus on the 900 to 1000 most useful ones and learn the rest in context as you go, you'll be far more efficient and less likely to burn out. So how should you go about doing this? Well, let's break it down week by week. And don't worry if I mention something that costs money, I will also give you the free alternative. So in your first week, the focus should be on survival fluency. This means learning how to speak even before you feel fully comfortable understanding. And I'm about to give you a whole bunch of ways to accomplish this. One of the best ways to do this is through audio-based repetition. If you have access to the Pimsleur Japanese Level 1 course, use it daily for 30 minutes. It trains your ear and mouth together, and it's golden at this stage. But if you're on a budget, don't worry. Free resources like the Nihongo Konteppei for Beginners podcast do a brilliant job of teaching slow, natural Japanese with lots of repetition. But pair this with a solid vocabulary strategy. Start learning your first 200 high-frequency words using the Core 2K Anki deck, which is completely free to download. Alongside vocabulary, you'll want to master a few fundamental sentence structures right away. Things like noun, wa, adjective, des to describe things, place, niekimas to say where you're going, and object or verb for basic actions. Memorize 5 essential conversation scripts by heart. How to introduce yourself, order food, ask where something is, talk about the weather, and describe what you do. Every day, shadow at least 5 minutes of slow native audio. Try Comprehensible Japanese on YouTube. It's made specifically for learners and the speech is clear, slow, and gesture supported. Also, use Tae Kim's guide online to understand particles like wa, ga, no, o, and ni. These are the glue that holds Japanese together. If you're confident, start texting native speakers on apps like HelloTalk or Tandem. Even if you're just saying konnichiwa, get used to using what you learn. I can't stress how important this part is if you want to learn Japanese quickly. If you know 5 words, start using those 5 words. Speak them a lot. If you know 100 words, use those 100 words. Just keep speaking, and you don't need to speak to anybody else. Just speak to yourself. That's the important thing. Just make sure you're saying the words. It not only gets your mouth used to using the words, but also your brain. It allows you to draw the words a lot more quickly. And that is week 1. In week 2, you'll move from survival Japanese to flexible conversation. Now it's time to increase your vocabulary. Aim for another 250 words this week, taking your total to around 450. Keep using the same Anki deck. Learn new grammar structures like skides to talk about likes, taides to express what you want to do, and take kudasai for making polite requests. Every day, write 3 simple sentences about your day and get them corrected. You can do this for free by posting on HelloTalk. You should also be watching 15 to 30 minutes of native Japanese daily, but make it comprehensible. And you also need to continue your shadowing from the week before. video. But this week, also start listening for te form verbs, adjective conjugation, and question words. These are everywhere in real conversation. If you need help, this site here is a brilliant free site that breaks down grammar points in depth. And look, at this stage, you're not going to be able to really understand every word somebody is saying. You're just trying to notice familiar words and search for specific conjugations. Before we move on to week 3, you've made it this far into the video, and if it's helpful so far, maybe consider leaving a subscribe and a like. I'm a very small channel and it would help me out so much. But back to the video. Week 3 is where you really start speaking. The priority is real conversation practice. If you can afford it, schedule a 20 or 30 minute italki tutor session every other day. If not, use free alternatives like conversationexchange.com, Discord Japanese servers, Reddit's language exchange to speak with Japanese natives, or even Hello Talk. Watch anime or slice of life shows with Japanese subtitles. I personally recommend Shirokuma Cafe, and don't be afraid to rewind and shadow what you hear. By now, you should be aiming for 1 hour of listening a day, even if some of that is passive. Expand your vocabulary with another 250 words, bringing your total to 700. Okay, wait. Now I know this seems like a lot, but when you start using Anki, you'll see that it's actually not, and with a few minutes a day, you can really start to pile up the words. Also, start rehearsing and recording short monologues like your daily routine, your favorite food, and what you did yesterday. Get comfortable using filler words. Words like etto, ano, and so desu ne. These are a big part of sounding natural. Use them as bridges when your brain needs a second. This is also a great time to try storytelling or roleplay. Narrate your morning as you're doing it, or describe your walk to the shop aloud. Remember, at this stage, you don't have to be specific. You're not looking to hit every single word. You've probably heard this before, but you shouldn't use the words you need. You should use the words you know. Finally, in week 4, it's time to polish what you know and build your confidence. You'll add 250 more words using Anki, taking you to around 1,000, more than enough for solid daily conversation. Instead of pushing more grammar, review what you already know. Practice it until it's automatic. Have 5 real conversations this week. Use all the tools we've covered: tutors, language partners, Discord, or even recording and self-correcting. Keep listening to your comprehensible Japanese and aim for 10 to 20 minutes of shadowing each day. Record yourself telling a story about your weekend, then listen back and note where you got stuck. Refine it, re-record it, and watch your confidence grow. Review your favorite scripts from week 1 and build on them. And throughout the month, remember, it's better to repeat 50 useful phrases 100 times than to study 1,000 words once each. Speak every day, even alone. Write every day, even if it's just a few lines. Listen every day, even if you only understand 20%. Repetition, exposure, and courage are what makes you conversational, not perfection. Your main goal here is to get to a point where you can start asking questions. You can start exploring the language by engaging with other native speakers, and by now, you'll be conversational.